All right, let's speak now to the National Prosecuting Authority's communication head, Bulelwa Makeke. Bulelwa, thank you very much for joining us. Interesting, the last line of Monique's report, where the police have basically said, well, speak to the NPA about the backlog in DNA, because that doesn't fall under you, does it?
Good evening, Sally. Thank you very much. I'm actually very happy that you picked that up. But, you know, in the criminal justice system, it's almost like a relay system. So everybody depends on everybody else. So in as much as the whole issue of the DNA and you know, the forensic labs are managed by the Department of Health, the police are the ones that are mainly responsible for that. But I would imagine that when they said that the NPA is responsible for that is because of the DNA backlog project that we have established. I think Eric did mention that a bit. In terms of one of the issues that we've realized and understand is that the biggest problem with the delays, especially in rapes, and you know, those kinds of cases that require forensic evidence, the biggest problem with the delays is that DNA just doesn't get through for various reasons from the lab. Many of the cases would end up being closed. You know,
and this is not, I mean, Monique's piece is on the Western Cape, but this is a national problem, isn't it?
It is. So you would have cold cases that just don't go anywhere simply because the labs are not turning out the stuff enough. So the DNA backlog project was specifically put together, and the NPA works very closely with the police in this regard. Because what happened is that all the cold cases, you know what you would call cold cases that were closed because it was taking too many years to finish. Now they're going through all of those to find ways of just prioritizing some of them, and you know, just understanding also the reasons why outside of the DNA, lack of DNA, because you find that there are some that actually there's something else that can be done, but where there's issues of you know, that are coming from the fact that the labs are not turning out the stuff quick enough, that this project, and it's a pity because I would have come with like updated stats around.
I was going to ask, like, is the backlog, how bad is the backlog? Do you have numbers?
We do have numbers, you know, but as I say, if I had known I was going to talk about that, because it's a very interesting thing. It's quickly turning out, you can see the difference because
Has it got better, or is it getting worse? I mean, that's, I suppose, the important thing.
It's got better in that there are cold cases that were cold but now have like been warmed up.
So give me an idea. If there's a rape case reported today, first of all, is there a rape kit available at every police station?
Well, I can't vouch for them being there.
Okay, let's say there is a rape kit, and a rape kit sample is done, sent to the lab. How long will it take for that result to come through?
It varies. It varies.
Varies? So from what to what? Give me a
look, it could be from 3 months. 3 months is looking up, actually. It's actually really being optimistic.
Sure.
Up to, out of this project, you know that there are cases that have been there for 3 years.
3 months to 3 years.
Yeah, it's, you know, depending on and the scary thing about that is that you find that some of them are repeat offenses.
So you'll pick up the same DNA from the same perpetrator.
Yeah.
In other words, if that rape kit had been able to be processed quicker and you'd been able to make an arrest, that perpetrator could have been behind bars.
Yes.
I mean, that's terribly disheartening. It's good to hear that you've got a project to try and reverse the DNA. But I think, you know, the police commissioner was on ENCA, and the thing that struck me about what he told our morning team is they actually need double the cops they've got on the ground. And he says, we're not going to really make enough headway unless we get more staff. So you've got a police force that has not enough people. Guy Lamb was just saying that at police station level, you've got a police understaffed, demoralized, not necessarily given the right focus on how and the right training. To what extent are the problems within the police force and within this DNA problem completely hampering the work of the NPA, because you are reliant on the evidence, the investigations that they give you?
Yes. Well, to start with, actually, it compares like to like in terms of the lack of resources. So if the police are saying they don't have enough people, staff on the ground, it's almost the same thing with us. And you must know that prosecutors are far less in numbers than the police, because obviously police have to be on the ground. But importantly, yes, then because of that, the effect is that if the police are not able to do it because of whatever reason, then it affects the pull through to prosecutions. So that's the unfortunate thing, because of the dependencies, that if there's one part that's broken, the entire system is broken.
Chain as strong as its weakest link. And also we know, of course, the many years of state capture, how that hollowed out the NPA. It demoralized many people on the ground. Many really good people left. And we know that attempts are being made. But we're still seeing, and this is what astonishes me, is that we get high-profile cases. Senzo Mayiwe, murdered in 2014. That was the biggest story. It's still not resolved. Yes, it's gone to court. But still, we are seeing big problems now, even in court. VBS. What that's been like. There've been, I think, 22 arrests since 2020, only one conviction, still not resolved. We know that sometimes.
So there's a whole focus on dealing with ethics and professionalism by prosecutors. But it is a factor. But look, there are many other factors that actually impact on
and I mean, this is the thing, and just in closing, because we're painting a picture that is not necessarily breaking news for our poor viewers who are going, if I'm a victim of crime, the chances of the DNA and, the investigation and the court process actually working in my favor is, despite attempts to make improvements, it's just not good enough. If there has to be one thing, if you could have one wish for the NPA, or for the criminal justice system to improve things, what would it be? One wish, first wish, because there are lots, clearly.
There are lots. Look, just capacity.
Pardon, what did you say?
Capacity throughout, not just prosecutors, because if we don't have capacity within the police, that's where all the work comes from. That's where all the groundwork and the investigations. If there's a problem there, then, as I said, it affects the entire system, and then just professionalism and skill. You will find, and I know a lot of people get frustrated by cases being thrown out of the court or delayed, or because the investigations are not where they should be. But in saying that, we must also confirm that there are very many cases that actually make it through to court. So it's not one basket, that you can throw everything. And there are good stories to tell in the system, despite all the difficulties, because there are really many difficulties. There are good stories to tell, but where there are not good stories, the good story is that something's being done about it, because there is recognition that there are problems. And with in the recent years, especially under the new national, well, it's not so new anymore. I mean, it's like almost 4 years. But the turnaround in terms of direction, in terms of fixing the organization to start with, because you will, I think, even in her interviews and just when he started, the organization was not in a good place, the NPA, and so these past 4 years have been just really about fixing and fixing the morale of prosecutors as well. Because, listen, with all the stories that have been going around about how bad things are, work has been going on in the NPA. I mean, we prosecute cases every day. We convict people all the time. So those are things that have been put in place. I think now we can say we're on solid ground to just really move forward. And I think it's starting to show, especially even on the corruption side. I am sure you're seeing, slowly that there is.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on state capture in this interview.
Yes, we need
and
another.
We did see the Tegeta court appearances. So absolutely, and we acknowledge that. And I just want to thank you for coming in. I think perhaps we're in a position where we're staring the problem in the face. But as you say, the biggest wish you have is for more capacity within the police, more skills to bring really solid cases to you so that you can move forward with prosecution. Thank you very much.
And forensic labs that work and just give us all the
forensic labs, capacity there as well. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. That, of course, is the head of communications at the National Prosecuting Authority, Bulelwa Makeke.